Anyways, I would like to now proceed with our panel and invite our panelists, where I have two Gediminas, one Lari, and one Per. Please take the seats here. I mean, just choose the comfortable one. No, that's my one. All right, and I think, gentlemen, continuing the discussions of yesterday, we have to apologize. Yes, I mean, looking into this panel, that's a very little gender balance down here. So at least we need to admit the mistake and offer an opportunity, I would say. So dear ladies that would like to participate in that panel, we have it open for you. So just step down, take a seat, and we will have a good time here with all these gentlemen. So, anyone? Please, please. I meant to have a real balance, please. Anyone else?
She comes for 3, that's
Okay,
fine.
okay, if you say so. So, but at least we got something better here already in that panel, and then I think we are ready to start. And here I would like to start, on the topic itself. It's innovation ecosystem, and sometimes it's really hard to define what the ecosystem is, or innovation ecosystem is, and what are the main parameters or KPIs of that environment, so to say. But I would probably like to have the, comparison from the biology. Yeah. So I mean, the ecosystem is a geographical area which contains specific elements that defines if life is thriving, surviving, or dying. So to understand how to build the ecosystem that is sufficient for marine technology development, startups, innovation, science, we organizing this panel in order to share the experiences, to share the knowledge, and get advice actually from those experts towards Klaipėda, how we can build an efficient ecosystem, marine ecosystem here in Klaipėda. And the first I want to approach probably would be two people. They were not making the presentations, so maybe you can introduce yourself so that we have a full set of the panel. Starting from maybe you here, the new member of the panel.
Thank you. So my name is Birgit Liodden. I'm founder and CEO of the Ocean Opportunity Lab, which builds the first global digital ecosystem for innovators across ocean and energy industries. And just to continue on the regional approach here, I would say I would take it even a bit further, that you can compare the ecosystem that is needed to build to make the innovation cluster here in the same way that you can compare the living ecosystems underwater, where you have really a need to bring in all the components from the smaller and the larger species, but where you need to have a balance in terms of everybody needing some resources, providing other resources, but to make the ecosystem balance function, you need to put in more resources than you take out at any time to make it regenerative and thriving. And I think that mindset and a kind of a paying it forward approach among the actors regionally here would really be essential, I think, to take out the optimal capabilities of the cluster.
Thank you so much. And welcome to the panel. I see a lot of valuable insights from you coming. And Gediminas, maybe you would like to...
Yeah, sometimes I feel a bit uncomfortable being among scientists, researchers, and technology developers, because I'm representing a company which is Klaipėda Seaport Operator. We just provide port services, handling cargo. But participating in conferences like this, I always convince myself that actually we do have this innovation ecosystem, as you call it, because I recognize some things from these presentations that we do it in our daily life. Despite the fact that when I see those pictures about the technologies, the innovation in the port, they always show the containers, but actually we handling mostly bulk cargo. I believe this is a more complicated area, but still, and I think this innovation ecosystem, the roots of this system, ecosystem, I would say it's in the very beginning of the company, 30 years ago, because we were the first private Klaipėda seaport operators founded in 1992. And the beginning was in the place which wasn't even the port territory. It was a former cellulose factory site. And it had to be, and actually was, totally converted to modern stevedoring company, which handles various goods, including those quite complicated bulk cargoes, which demand specific equipment and advanced technologies. And I think there is an unwritten rule in Klaipėda, within the Klaipėda port community, which says that even you have reached some level of development and investments and innovation, you can't stop doing that, because then you will be moving backwards comparing to your competitors. So this ecosystem of innovation in entire Klaipėda port, I think it formed, has formed quite naturally out of a certain need to break through, to turn some inherited disadvantages to advantages, and of course out of internal and external competition. So over the years, the means and the goals of innovation, they have evolved. If initially the main things were the capacities, the speed, the costs, now, of course, competitiveness is measured also by how you meet the sustainability requirements, also regulations, or simply how sustainable you are in the eyes of your customers, partners, or even employees. So that's why I think it was also quite natural why our company also started to look for new operational methods and to implement those sustainability projects. And one of these projects is the refurbishing of old diesel locomotives to an electric robotized locomotives. We just taking old polluting diesel locomotives and convert them to electric robots, let's say. We do it exclusively using our own company's human and financial resources and competences. The process is not very fast. Actually, we started it several years ago, and by now we already replaced more than half of our fleet of locomotives, and respectively we could reduce the CO2 emissions by 50% in railroad loading operations within the terminals. I didn't want to go with the presentation because I think we talked a lot about these locomotives, and you know the process is very long, and now we are still working on continuing to work on developing the prototype of more powerful autonomous electric locomotive which could operate in more distant roads, for example between port terminals and intermediate railroad stations. Together with that, also we are generating ideas and thinking how to learn those machines to communicate between themselves, to control them from one point and not have men to go to control each of them. Also, maybe how to expand the independent electricity production to cover our needs for this sustainable transportation. So actually, I'm not an engineer. I can tell stories about those things, no, but seriously considering why are we doing that? So the first thing I would say that is, of course, the leadership of the management, which developed historically, as I said. Our company actually provides opportunity for young specialists of self-realization. And I think the main thing that actually those specialists, that the team that works with those projects, they are actually are given license to make mistakes until they find those solutions. And luckily there were too many of those mistakes in our case. But still, what we observe that this is still quite expensive pleasure to implement those projects if you are not in this field, if you are just working with you have activities in different area. So there is one thing that we would like to change in this ecosystem, and that would be the unequal competition comparing to those who have access to all the financial sources, state and European. So I think we would do more if we could, even to apply for those.
Okay, thank you so much, Gediminas, and probably why you are in this panel, it's that you are part of the cluster, the company is a member of the cluster, but I would define your BEGA as the company that is had the opportunity or technically managed to move from technology appliers to technology developers. So it's a very important step to make for every company, and then you are the company that managed to do that. Moving on with the questions, and as we have two experts from Norway now, so maybe the question would be dedicated to both of you, but you guys are, from the maritime innovation ecosystem, where we have those large species that Birgit has mentioned, and this is probably what differs from what we have here, but I'm sure there are some fundamental, aspects of the innovation ecosystem or the fundamental elements that can be applied anywhere. So, Per Martin, maybe you can share some of those elements that are, crucial or necessary to really run the efficient ecosystems that can be applied in the territory, no matter what kind of species it has in it.
Thank you so much. I mentioned one thing in the presentation, and that's in collaboration and in these ecosystems, we need the trust thing. I think it's paramount in order for me to share some information with Lawrence, for example. I need to trust that we are using this or he's not misusing that information. So I think the trust part here, the informality in this ecosystem is really important. I also like the thought that when in an organization or one company you have a hierarchical kind of, you have a boss, right? So we might have an idea and we go to the boss and the boss say yes or no. In this ecosystem, it's different. It's a more flat structure. So then suddenly it's not the boss who will come up with a good idea. It's the other. Certainly is somebody else. It might be the janitor. It might be something coming from outside the organization, and that's the real power, I think, in this ecosystem. To have all the employees in a different kind of. You work on this pilot project, for example. You need a big vision. You need to decarbonize, for example, something, a vessel, and then you can use, together with ship designers, you can have startups, other people in that are actually trying to find new solutions from what you are doing in your own company. And that will be, then suddenly you change the whole business models, the value chain changes. So I think that's the big kind of value in this ecosystem. And it's really important to have the startups and the venture capital to actually be part of these systems. And it has to be based on knowledge-based or research and academia. So, but I think it's like the triple helix kind of model. But I think it's really important, and everyone can do it, but it has to be based on, you have a region, you have to say what are the skills, the comparative advantage for this community, and then you can build a big ecosystem, I think, around that.
Thank you, Per. Birgit, do you have a take on that? Someone needs to give Birgit a minute.
Yeah, I think in some different words, I would put the focus on power coupling, which is pretty much just building on what Per Martin said. When we work with bigger corporates, regardless of which field, we challenge them to identify what are their key 3 biggest or most critical unresolved issues, and where they would be open to collaborate with external partners and smaller players to create the solutions. And that's a really good exercise, regardless of which field inside the industry you're in. And then, of course, the capital side it's essential. But as long as we're in like the maritime and ocean space, I would say there is one gap that I see a tendency, regardless of which areas, is a kind of a different and a more, I would say, kind of a match capital structure that can build a bridge between kind of VC, angel, and the early funding money, and the grants and the soft funding. So I would challenge, because that's a challenge we've sent out in Norway as well now, that the industry should go together across, competitor across the value chain, to actually join forces and setting up like a match capital structure, which will be kind of a risk money that you can utilize to solve some of the key opportunity spaces regionally. And then I would bring the factor back to the port. I think the port and the port city, it's very easy for the ports to underestimate their own role. I would say that the port is the perfect blue-green testbed space. And we see that now in Boston, in LA, Barcelona, Lisbon, Genoa is building it. The using and utilizing and strengthening the port's own role and awareness of how to enable, for instance, local smaller projects on testing out, producing local energy with innovators, and looking into also environmental business cases linked to growth, aquaculture, testing out AI sensors, etc. That is also not necessarily directly related to the commercial ship and cargo handling, but where you just utilize the capacity and the areas that you already have at hand in a different way, and which also makes the port and our industry much more accessible and inspirational and open to the public, to school kids, to the talents and the entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much. Birgit, now going to Lawrence. Lawrence, I mean, you are coming from science, and science has been mentioned here already a few times, and it's definitely a very important part of the innovation ecosystem. And what's your experience? You know how important science is supplying the talent and also ideas to innovation ecosystem that we can later transform into products and services.
Okay. Am I on? Yes, okay. Actually, I take a more of a pragmatic approach because I've been working in industry and in academia simultaneously, because unlike a lot of countries in the world, in the US, I had to pay for my own education. So coming back to working in the field, what I see is that necessity is the mother of innovation. We just don't create tools and then apply it. No, especially in the port sector, it's very conservative. I was just listening earlier to what you were saying about the bulk industry. It has changed quite a lot over the last few years. In the past, ports would look at the bulk as very slow moving. You would deal with the vessels taking days to discharge, unload. What is happening, everyone, is that we're seeing the rise of visibility and velocity. We don't have time. And I was speaking with you earlier about the youth today, the young people. I have a daughter that's 16. She just can't wait. She is so impatient. And this generation, they want things now. If they don't get it now, they're going to go somewhere else to get it. So coming back to with my work in education and teaching is that, yes, there is a big demand for talent. Unfortunately, and this is due to the fact of our stereotype, and by the way, that was very smart of you in that to bring a lady to the audience, is that, and I did say that to you as well earlier, and I'll repeat this, is that unfortunately the industry is seen as a bunch of old white guys that are miserable. So we need to change that stereotype, bring in more talent, bring in other ideas, and regarding with the ports, they have always had a view that the customer was the ship. You know, how we can handle that ship, get that ship turned around fast. More and more ports are seen as logistics centers. And with that view, they're now looking at it as a logistics center, how to connect with other parts of the chain. This means for many young people, innovators out there in the audience, you can now see how you can, I want to say, deploy solutions, offer technologies that can help with visibility and velocity within the chain. Lots of ideas. For example, over the weekend, that was very good from Klaipėda, which is another reason why I was here, was the port hackathon. Really good ideas. For example, there was a challenge on how to improve the bagging process for BEGA. And that was the one that won the main solution. But overall, everyone, is that I think for all of us, we need to try to break the stereotypes, share about how exciting this industry is. There is a lot of innovative ideas coming in, as I was showing earlier with autonomous vehicles, the use of AI, applying AI, IoT scanners, even much, much more. So we'll see, I think, more young people coming in. And there is, of course, the challenge that other industries are trying to take them from our industry. For example, the automotive, the aerospace, gaming. So that's a challenge for me as a teacher, is to present this, that, hey, there is this industry. And I tell you, it's been fun over the years in seeing a few people that are now in the industry, working as managers, working as professors in other schools, that I was able to at least motivate them, educate them, and inspire.
Thank you so much, Hans. It's really inspiring that your entrepreneurial background is kind of taking over your scientific background, but you still probably have a lot to advise on how you get the young people, the people that you have into university, how you drive this into maritime. But before answering that, I want to go to Gediminas Jedi. Gediminas, you are technically a serial entrepreneur in maritime industry, but the very important aspect here that Gediminas is coming from Šiauliai, which in Klaipėda we define as a potato land. So I mean, it's not attached to the sea anyhow, but still you're working with the seaweed. So can you elaborate a little bit on those forces that made you go into the maritime industry?
Yeah, coming back to that day when we started this all, actually it's, to tell a story short, there was an angel, and I was probably a second angel, and we saw opportunity in the incentivized funding options, and Plus, we saw environment of other angels, and we gathered together just and start making business. That's how it started. And we had a network in Norway who just were starting seaweed stuff, and they needed different supplies, and Cholet is the let's say manufacturing city, where there's a lot of manufacturers. We make machinery, we make all the stuff. There's a lot of engineers. So actually we need the engineers, not biologists at the moment. But further on, we think about chemist engineer, about biologists to support further innovation. But I wanted to address as well to this gentleman and about this issue, environment and economy, how to help. Actually, let's use best practices. This is the best thing. We have Station F in France. They have incubators like banks, Facebook, Google, let's say BEGA or other companies who set environment where the people just come in, they have challenges, and they start making hackathons, inviting angels to support it. Then the same company is wishing to invest if it's a good idea, and use best practices of startup experience and practice rules, how to make it. Because for us, like big company, some of the big companies, they don't know the game. Because this is the game where the certain rules are already known from many years of the development. That's how Station F make, I not remember, about 14, 15 unicorns they have already. And that's, it's power of crowd. Just you're getting a lot of venture capitals, private equity funds coming in, angels, talents, people who want just be entrepreneur, not start working somewhere else. They just want to be businessmen. They just want to build business. They just want to make money. They want to be a unicorn. And then suddenly real life comes, and then he needs to work somewhere, and potential is not used.
Yeah, but they can be building matching platforms. Why would you go to the maritime? How the seaweed content came into your venture?
In Chile? Simply, at that point, seaweed came as a, let's say, the big attention from investors. I think the environment in Norway is much larger in respect to investment and governance, making startups, but they don't have lack of delivery capacity to make them happen. And we saw the match to each other.
So this is collaboration in a way.
This is collaboration.
Because the topic came from Norway into Cholet. Is that the pathway?
Yeah, simply, Norwegian guy had a factory in Venta, in Mažeikiai. He had office in Cholet. That's how we met, in the bar or whatever.
All right. See, that works also.
That works.
Ladi, do you have a take on that?
Yes, I'll make it quick. I was just thinking about experiences, and that I was sharing earlier with Per here, is that we were developing an automated guided vehicle. And unfortunately, even though in Norway, where the company was based, and Sweden, where I was working, even though we were so innovative, we just couldn't scale it. And that's one of the issues that we have in the Baltic. We're just not big enough to go, to go global. And I had some challenges from competitors from Japan and from Germany, because they had the scale, and unfortunately they beat us out. Coming back to Jedi here, is that I've been in 3 startups myself. One out of San Francisco, one out of London, and one now out of Dubai. And it's interesting, with these 3 startups, all 3 are working in the area of maritime. And what I see as the red thread is the communication with the cluster. Big cluster let's be honest, the Silicon Valley, there is so much talent, and there's reasons behind that historically, because Hewlett-Packard set up office there, Lawrence Research was there, so this had a lot of spin-offs. So coming back to this event, what I would say to the organizers is this is really important event, because it helps with promotion and communication. Because this is what we need, communicating what is available, what the demands are from industry, connecting, networking. And so I say events like this need to be, more of these need to be happening. And of course, bringing people like us together so then we can talk, and then from this networking, hopefully what will arise is a solution or an idea.
Yeah, it's always amazing to have all the defining factors inside of the geographical area, but probably what I hear from here, also referring to Gediminas' story, so I mean this is based on the collaboration. So how do you feel we could collaborate to gain the benefits, you know, when, like for example here the Norwegian innovation ecosystem, the Lithuanian innovation ecosystem, I'm talking the maritime content, because we have different advantages that makes us both competitively, you know, makes us both competitive. So how do you, what would be your suggestion to how we can approach the collaboration, Birgit?
So we've already started from our end to map and connect with what we call the creative ocean hotspots. And since Klaipėda and Lithuania has a huge ambition to really take a position in this region, then you could access basically, you know, others that have done the same in various parts of the world. Both, I mean, within Norway and the Nordics, but also beyond. And instead of like reinventing the wheels, rather look at what has been done already by some of the most like fierce, forward-leaning hubs, like in the United States, across Europe, Middle East, and then cherry pick what would fit here locally. And then I think it's a very interesting part when you look at the cluster-to-cluster collaboration, exchanging resources based on where are the strengths here and the needs, and where are the strengths of the Norwegian clusters and their needs, and then finding the lowest hanging fruits where there is, you know, where Norway can be a market for local actor here to get further out. So I think that's a very kind of tangible, practical approach to it.
Well, but I think we are already on that way, because we have a Lithuanian Maritime Cluster, and we are one of the founders of this cluster and active members. And I think what we saw today with this electric pusher, there was kind of example of exchanging ideas and collaboration, because when we started to produce those electric locomotives, I think that idea was like stimulated the next ideas, and we are active in this stimulating this cargo shipping, sustainable cargo shipping using inland waters. So that's how we have examples already. So I think we are on this way, and of course, good advices from you.
Per Martin, do you have a take on collaboration, Asmus?
Yeah, I would say that I totally agree. This industry is quite a conservative industry in a way. Usually, as we said, you had like ship owners on the top of the hierarchy, setting the standards and everything. But now it's changed. The cargo owners, the ports, other people, other places in the value chain changes everything. We have a company in Norway called Seneta, for example. They were trying to map and get some information for all the ship owners, and the ship owners said, we don't want to give out the information about the contracts in our company. And then Seneta then could say, are your ships, do you like charge more or less than your competitors and everything? Ship owner said no. But the same contract all the cargo owners have, because they are signing the same contracts, and they would like to know if they pay less or more than the competitors on your ship or your ship. And then suddenly things change quite rapidly, because then now they can map everything. It's a quite easy kind of idea, but it changes the whole value chain. And I think what we need now going forward, usually we had like sailors and other people, the competence in the maritime industry, we need a different set of skills going forward. And that is a pool of talents we really need to dig into, because then we are competing with, you can say, you can go to Google or Elon Musk or whatever and do awesome cool things. And we need the same kind of people in our industry. And that's a really challenge for us with the conservative marketing we've done for many years.
Lari.
I was thinking what you were saying, and this brings to mind years ago in Belgium, there was work on developing a cluster, and then you were presenting in your talk about the focus, and this is very important, the focus, and this comes back to a famous Harvard professor by the name of Michael Porter. He wrote on cluster, on strategy, and the most important thing is your niche. For example, Lithuania, also Norway, you can't do it all. You need to, getting back to the cherry picking, is to focus what areas that make you unique and be either number one or number two. And this comes back again to this book by Michael Porter on competitive advantage. So I was just thinking about the discussions here, and had me, brought memories when I was taking my MBA in Antwerp at the time. And coming back, like I said, it was applied in Belgium, and then later on, similarly, another study work was done in Netherlands to bring more shipping. To bring the flag back to Netherlands. So again, everyone, I think it's good to look into what you're good at, focus on being number one, number two, because you can't do it all.
Good advice, Larry. Before moving on to our next question, I here would like to open up a little bit floor for the audience, even though because of those lights I see no people. But hopefully there is one person or two that would like to address the question to the panel.
Please, thank you. We have a question here in the app.
Perfect.
Do you think the maritime industry in Klaipėda is ready to hire and train young talents? What are the current demographics?
Is Klaipėda ready?
Actually, those examples as a portathon shows that we are not just ready, but we are moving this way. Actually, we as a company also trying to participate in all kinds of events and programs to encourage young people to choose engineering, because or engineering in maritime industry. So, and again, this example of our company, when we provide opportunities of self-realization and to make mistakes for some while, I think this shows that yes, we are ready and we are doing this. But together with the university, together with the cluster, we should do more. But we can do.
Thank you. There you go. Per?
Yeah, just also one comment. I think I totally agree. Another thing which is now, at least in Norway and the community I know, they're screaming for people. We need talents, we need people coming into the industry. But there is a huge, it's a conservative, of course, industry, so that's one problem. But the other thing is that it's cyclic. So it's, at one point, we are doing very well. So it's a lot of work, a lot of things to do. And then after, like in Norway, for example, after 2014, there was all the offshore supply market was totally gone. And then a lot of people lost their jobs. And now they're screaming again to get back. So it's, yeah, I think it creates, or people go other places. So that's a problem actually for the industry.
Sure, take a Larry.
From the university side, what we need is better communication with industry. So if industry can communicate that to us, then we can help with training, educating the next mariners or people working in the shipping business. So we need better collaboration, coordination with industry.
All right. So now I think we have a kind of constructive take on the strategy itself. And for closing, I would like to analyze another aspect. You know, there is a saying that working culture eats strategy for breakfast. So I mean, probably having a take on the strategy now, we would like to know how to build an innovation and collaboration culture that would help innovation ecosystems to thrive. Anyone start?
Incentivize investments. People should take out money from their pockets and invest.
Is that a culture aspect?
I'll make mine short and sweet. Is basically look at what others are doing and then tailor to your needs. Like mentioned earlier about Singapore, New York, London. There was somebody showing earlier. It was nice. I think it was you. The various centers of competence. So yeah, look at others. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and just tailor to your need.
Birgit?
Yeah, and I would use this opportunity to say, I mean, Lithuania should get on board and get a branch of Young Ship, because it's already the leading and first global body of the next generation in the maritime and offshore. I think it would fit very well here. And then I would say to implement this at the right levels among any companies with more kind of male, pale and stale leaders. I think that looking into curating an industry reverse mentoring program to have the top executives lean in and learn and explore mindsets and listen in to the young professionals, I think is essential in order to change the culture.
Ben?
Yeah, I would say come and visit, come and visit us in Norway, for example, and see the clusters. Tom here, he is like a master brain in so many clusters in Norway. Being here, having these discussions and meeting, drinking coffee, and you get new ideas, connecting new dots, meeting new people, get new ideas. So I think best practice, go and see other places, and I think this kind of conference and this kind of networking is fantastic. But also come and see and visit us for example, in Norway.
Gediminas?
Well, we would be very pragmatic from our side. We see reserves to encourage and to stimulate innovation in port industry. Like you said, how much? Yeah, but we not only look for private investors. I believe that there is also reserves in state politics and in state-owned enterprises, tariff politics, and so on. So I think you understood what I meant. So I will shut up now.
Thank you so much, Gediminas. Thank you for all the panelists. And I think the takeoff from this particular panel would be that we have several aspects. So one, we cannot copy the ecosystems because this is kind of a biological approach. I mean, it's very linked to the geographical area and what we have locally. But we can collaborate in order to gain the competitive advantage for both systems and, you know, exchange the knowledge and competence. Then we need to build a collaboration culture. We had actually discussed yesterday a lot of those, you know, stealing, bribing, and all the other interesting concepts that we developed. But I think all of that is important. Trust is a very important issue inside and also outside. And I hope you had a good idea how we can use all this experience in Klaipėda and how that can contribute to building an efficient innovation ecosystem in Klaipėda. And now we probably owe some applause to the panel, and we are done now. Thank you.